melt these ring disc beads simultaneous, so they kind of slump down together. One doesn't go faster than the other, because you want there to be a smooth joining line where they at the junction point. And you'll achieve that if you smoothly melt these two together, sort of at the same rate. Getting a nice fusion of the two color halves. There's no reason you couldn't just make an ivory bead, though, and run a stripe of turquoise down the middle by hand. You could do that, certainly. And you might achieve as good a result as this method. There's many different ways to do a lot of these techniques, and no one is right. Aside from injuring yourself, there's really very few mistakes you can make in lamp work. A lot of the results are different and unique, and some of your best beads will be innovations made on the basis of trying to fix a mistake that you introduced into a piece and then discovered something new. So there we have a very spherical bead. It's still quite viscous, quite gooey. So I'm sort of slowing down the rotation, watching carefully. If I wanted, I could certainly marver it to get a broader, squatter profile. Reheat after the introduction and use of a cold tool. Now test your stringer that you had set up earlier. Make sure it's cool to touch. And I'm going to superheat one area of the bead at a time. I'm going to focus a very tight, hot flame and not heat the overall bead, but simply superheat one zone and then go in for the kill. That is, use the stringer, poke in, and rotate to create sort of a pinwheel effect. So the bead is nice and kind of cool by now. It's not in danger of cracking, but it is cool and stable, and so now we can pump heat into one area. Focus your heat, take out, put your stringer in, and begin your rotation. Slow and easy. Isn't that beautiful? I used to call these tsunami beads before the tragic tsunami, and now I just call them wave beads. Blow on the stringer and break. It leaves a nice chunk of your colored stringer in the eye of the wave. So your stringer choice of color will affect your design. It could have been turquoise, and then it would have blended in perfectly with the turquoise half. It could have been ivory, it could have been black, it could have been red. Find the next zone. Heat. Go in, sit still for a second, and then rotate. And obviously how much you rotate will determine the crest of the wave. Hold it until it kind of becomes firm. Puff and break. And maybe give a little insurance heat to the bead. And we're going to do that 2 more times. This is going to be a 4-wave bead. 4 is easy because it means 90 degrees apart. So heat up. And this is done outside of the flame, the placement of the stringer. Do not attempt it in the flame. It won't hurt you, but it won't give you the result. You need the glass to start setting up while you're turning to get that beautiful wave pattern. And it won't happen if your stringer is in the flame. Instead, what would happen is the stringer would itself become gooey and would not give you a handhold to make the twist, to make the swirl. So one more. Nice and hot, focused. Come in and twist. y'all see that? Blow. When you blow, be sure, of course, not to burn your lips. What's happening is the blowing is causing thermal shock. So it breaks off easily at the point where the glass stringer goes into the bead body. You do want to heat it up a little bit, and there's a choice now, a design choice, whether we leave texture or we try to smooth things out. It's really your call. The bead is a little misshapen now because of the pinwheeling that was done to it. So my choice is going to be to heat the bead up so I can smooth out the overall form of the bead. Get it kind of smooth. I like some texture though, and what I'll do sometimes is I tamp down in my initial shaping rather than rotate. It feels that I have more control because you can kind of tamp in areas where things are sticking out. So you do kind of a gross adjustment first before you begin a rotation. And you'll kind of get the hang of it as you do it. Find yourself distorting it more and then having to fix that. But it's all part of having fun and practicing and learning what the glass does. And that's what really this is all about, having fun. And honestly, there's no bad bead. It's just so fun to play and experiment, and every bead is unique. And every moment on the torch is a new discovery, a new adventure. I do need to caution you that if you really get into this, it's a very addicting pastime. Super fun. And it's gratifying. If you're one of these people that requires immediate gratification, and I sure enjoy that. I don't like to work on projects that are months long. Bead making can be just the ticket. Because in 20 minutes you go from nothing to something. This is a large kind of bead, and it's large enough, I'm thinking, it probably doesn't need a lot more decoration. Maybe just some good shaping. You don't need to add any new color dots to it. And for the purpose of this demonstration, it might just be enough where we're at, rather than adding, more fancy bells and whistles.